Yo guys, what is going on, and welcome to another video. So in all of this lockdown madness and boredom, I've had to come up with loads of different activities, things to do to keep me engaged. I don't need to repeat myself. In the previous videos I've said the same thing. And today as part of an activity that I'm doing for my children that I teach at school, I decided to try my hand at art. And I thought it went pretty well. I managed to create this, and I want to teach you guys and to go over exactly how I created this. It's like a watercoloured marbled background with a print of, in this case, a cactus, but you can obviously modify it so that you can create whatever piece of artwork you want. It's really simple, it's really fun, and actually the result is quite cool, so you can actually decorate your own homes with them. So I thought I'd show you guys how I did this, because it came out a lot better than I thought it was going to. Now, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that like button if you enjoy this video, and if you want to see anything in particular, comment down below. Right guys, let's get into it. So, to create your own masterpieces, you are going to need a few materials. The first thing is you're going to need something to put your artwork on. I've used card because it's a bit more robust. For the sort of marbled, speckled watercolour effect, you're going to need some cling film, you're going to need a sponge and some water, and you're also going to need a selection of felt tip pens. Any pen will do, but ideally felt tip because you need to be able to draw onto the cling film. I have used a stencil and I've created a stencil. I've used some paper, although again I would suggest using card, a scalpel and a wooden chopping board. In order to get my image onto my paper, I have also used another sponge, you can see the black paint, and some black paint. So the first step to creating your masterpieces is you are going to use your masking tape or your decorator's tape to create a border. So simply tear off some of your tape, edge your piece of card with the tape. I went with, and I suggest using this type of tape because it's the tape that's least likely to damage your piece of artwork and your card, and it creates that really nice crisp border to your image. Once you've got your border, you're then going to get your cling film and you're going to cut a nice square piece of cling film or rectangular piece of cling film that is going to be large enough to fit over the center part of your paper or your card. And on that cling film, you are going to use your felt tip pens and you're going to color in lots of different patterns. You can use different colors, and this is going to then be flipped over and is going to create your sort of marbled watercolor effect. Now, once you have colored in your entire square or rectangle of cling film with your felt tip pens, you're going to get a nice clean sponge. You're going to put it in some water. You don't need too much. You don't want your sponge to be totally sodden and saturated with water because it will just ruin your card. But you just want a little bit, and then you're going to dab your sponge, your damp sponge, across the piece of paper so that it is nice and even and there's just a little bit of water on the surface. Again, you don't want to put too much because you don't want to ruin your card. You're then going to get your piece of cling film and you're going to place it ink side down on top of your card, and you should see where the water and the ink touches. The ink will then transfer onto the card. Now at this point I would suggest getting your fingers and just massaging your cling film a little bit, and you'll notice that the ink all merges and spreads and you'll get that really nice marbled effect. And then really carefully you want to lift up your cling film and you should see that you have got now transferred the ink onto your card. Now at this point I would strongly recommend you leaving your card on the side to dry. It won't take very long unless you've put loads and loads of water on the piece of paper or the piece of card, but leave it on the side to dry before you go on to the next step. So once your card is dry, you now obviously have your beautiful marbled background. You are ready for the next part of your process, the main art centerpiece of your art. Now, really this is kind of up to you and your creative process. You can obviously draw or paint straight onto this background, or you can do what I've done, which is use the stencil. With the stencil, just place the stencil obviously sort of center in the middle of your card. It will look a bit funky if it's off to the side or a weird angle, so try and get it as central as possible. And then what I would really strongly recommend is make sure that the sponge that you are using to put the paint onto the stencil is as dry as possible. My problem with the first attempt was that my sponge was quite damp still, and so when I then put paint on it, it just completely flooded the stencil with water. And because I'd used paper for my stencil, which actually made the stencil really easy to cut out, but what it did mean is that my paper just got really wet and the paint went through the paper, which defeats the purpose of having a stencil in the first place, right? So you can either use pre-made stencils that you can buy, or you can create your own. But if you create your own, like I say, use something a little bit more water resistant. If you've got plastic, you could use some plastic, or use some card instead. And then paint over the top of your, or dab over the top of your stencil, carefully remove that stencil, and there you go. You have your final product. The last thing to do is to carefully peel back the tape, and then you will have your finished item and your finished product. Be really careful when you peel back the tape, because even with sort of craft tape or the masking tape that I've been using, it can still stick really well to the card, and you don't want to damage it at the last hurdle. And then once you've taken that off, your artwork is complete. Boom! I am so impressed with how this has come out. Like, unbelievably impressed with how this has come out. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. But there you go, guys. So there is the final completed piece. There we go. How to create a really great piece of artwork using some of the simple materials that you have around your home. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this a go. Let me know how it goes. Obviously, if you have the facilities to do so, you can then stick that in its own frame, and you can put it on your wall, and you can even stick a signature on it, because you're now a legitimate artist. Alright guys, so that is the end of this video. Like I say, you can decorate your home with some really simple prints that don't take very much time, and you just need a few simple materials from around your homes. Give it a go, let me know how you get on. If you try this and you really like it, comment down below, and like I say, hit that like button and consider subscribing. In fact, don't just consider subscribing, just do it. Subscribe, hit that bell notification, because I'm putting out loads of content at the moment of things that you can do to keep yourself entertained, keep your mind and body switched on during lockdown. Alright guys, stay safe, and see you guys soon. Peace!